the brand new Model F keyboard. Before I get into some updates on the buying experience, and there are some funny updates from the quote-unquote community coordinator, which is literally just Joe Model F Keyboards designating himself that title so that his company seems a little bigger, I'd like to talk about some mods that could actually make your Model F a lot better. One of these mods is a mod that was previously used on the old Model F. I'm not sure about the second quote-unquote mod. It's not really a mod, but it kind of encompasses a mod. But anyway, the first mod used to be used on the old Model F because at the end of the day, what Joe has essentially done is recreated the Model F in the modern age and made it USB-C compatible. And he's done a lot of little quality of life improvements, like with how the space bar can actually be taken out without needing a drill and all this weird stuff. It's not clipped into the board like the old Model F. But yeah, he's tried to be as neurodivergent as possible and perfectly recreating as much as he possibly can about the old Model F. And that's not a slight, that's a positive. I am genuinely of the belief that that's a positive thing. But yeah, the buyer experience and the user experience is not great. Again, before we get into that, I'd like to talk about the one mod and the one quote-unquote half mod that I think will really make your Model F experience a lot better if you've had the same issues that I've had. Now, before I even get into this, if you're okay with the pinginess of the keyboard, you know how when the spring unbuckles, the spring vibrates at a really weird, annoying frequency, then you could just skip this first mod and you can skip to the relevant chapter that you're interested in. Quick refresher on the pinginess, you can watch the last video in the info card here in which I briefly talk about it, but essentially I had an issue, and a lot of people have had this issue with the keyboard, where it just sounds very pingy. Again, the spring unbuckles, and then it emanates this really high-pitched, annoying, pingy sound, and that's for every single key that you press. And that vibration is very, it just hurt my head, man. I couldn't use this keyboard for more than a day because it actually gave me a headache. So in order to fix that pinginess, what you can do is use something called Super Floss, which is essentially an Oral-B flossing product. It looks like this. It essentially starts from normal floss. There's a fluffy piece of floss in the middle, and then there's a normal piece of floss at the end here. Essentially what you do is you cut off the fluffy piece of floss, and then you cut off a bunch of other pieces of fluffy floss from a bunch of other strings of this Super Floss stuff. And then you cut down lengths of fluffy floss such that they're just under the length of the springs. From one random forum linked in the manual, I've read that the length is about 14 millimeters, but trust me, even if you cut the lengths of this floss consistently, you'll find that there's inconsistencies in the density of material from length to length, and some pieces of floss will work better than others. It just is how it is. But yeah, you shove these pieces of floss into the springs, and then you tilt the keyboard on its side such that it's upside down. You put in the keycap, and boom, that's it. There's your Floss Mod. You could use washers and do, read this. I don't know, man. This guy's going too far, but there's a bunch of other weird shit you can do to make it sound more like Cherry Browns, apparently. But at the end of the day, this makes it sound more like Alps, and I don't care, man. I just want the pinginess gone. That's all I care about. The pinginess just gave me a massive headache, and I'm just even thinking about it right now. Fuck, my head hurts. But yeah, that's not the Model F guy's fault, by the way. That's not Joe's fault. That's just how the keyboards were in the 80s. That's just how it is. So this mod helps a lot with that, and it's been useful even for people with the older Model Fs. The only issue with the Floss mod is that it's a little inconsistent for a number of reasons. Sometimes you'll have keys that are still pingy, and you'll have to basically take out the floss and put in a new length of floss that you've cut. Now, how do you take floss out of a tiny spring? Well, you could take out the spring entirely, and the way that you would do that is by twisting the spring counterclockwise and then pulling, and then you could poke the piece of floss out with something small. And then you could put the piece of floss back in by putting the spring in the barrel, rotating it clockwise, and cramming it in such that the end of the spring's coil at the top is facing 12 o'clock when you're facing the keyboard, or 1 o'clock at the very, very maximum. But you don't have to do that. Honestly, what you could just do is take a bobby pin and just stab into the spring and pull out and try to get the pieces of Super Floss that are in there. And it worked half the time. The other half the time, basically, I had to replace the spring before replacing the new floss. The other issue with consistency is that even when all the pieces of floss are making it such that none of the keys are pingy, you're going to find that one key to another key is not going to be consistent. And honestly, that's just how it is. It's not just the discrepancy between the density of the pieces of floss, even if you are cutting to the exact same length. It's also an issue of the spring tension. In my previous video info card linked at the top right, I mentioned that there's an issue with some of the springs when you first get the keyboard where it almost sounds tinny. And what I meant by that is that when you let go of the keycap and you basically let the spring unbuckle, it sounds like the spring is just hitting itself. And that's because the spring is just too close together. So you basically need to take off the keycap, and then you need to pull the spring a little bit. Make sure that the top of the spring coil is still facing 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock maximum. And yeah, you basically just pull the spring apart from itself, and then that fixes the quote unquote tinny issue. But yeah, anyways, the point is that from spring to spring, it's not going to be consistent. And that issue that I mentioned with the spring hitting itself is indicative of that fact. Listen to one key being pressed to another key being pressed. It's not going to be consistent. That's fine. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not going to be perfect. That's not the Floss's fault. I think the Floss just accentuates a problem with the keyboard, which is basically that, it's not going to be perfect. Unless you're anal about it, it doesn't matter. I'm personally not anal about it, but I know some people are, so that's why I'm just bringing that up. It's not the Floss Mod's fault. It's just the keyboard. It's just the springs. You're never going to get perfection out of springs. But yeah, at the end of the day, you're not going to feel it. You're going to hear it if you're really anal about hearing every single key press being the same. You're going to hear it. But, at the end of the day, even the positioning of the keys within the case is going to create a difference. So who cares? Anyway, enough of that. Sorry, I don't know. People in the keyboard community are really fucking weird sometimes with that. And I just wanted to get that out of the way. I've built keyboards for people who have basically questioned why like the control key sounds different than backspace. And it's like, well, first of all, more material in the keycap on the backspace. Second of all, different positions in the case. I'm done with this. I don't want to talk about this anymore. People are just dumb. I'm done. But yeah, essentially, Floss Mod's a very good mod. I love it. It makes this keyboard usable for me for more than a day. It does require a lot of trial and error. As you can see, I have a bunch of random keys off to the side and random keys in the keyboard because I'm still in the middle of this. I still need to cut a bunch of floss all over again. All right, second mod, well, it's half a mod, half just something you should do when you get this keyboard. Nylon stabilizers, or rather stabilizer inserts. This is what they're actually called in the manual. And yes, this step was mentioned in the manual. Thanks to the person who mentioned that I should do this in the comments of the last video. I don't know why I didn't come across this when I went through the manual myself. I did read through the entire manual like a month before purchasing the keyboard, and I did take note of anything important. Maybe it was just because of the information overload, and for some reason I didn't take note of this or something. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, this was in the manual, and it has been in the manual since 2020. Oh, funny story about that, by the way. At some point during this whole escapade of me making these videos and whatever, Joe Model F Keyboards excluded his website from the Wayback Machine. Why? What's wrong with you, big guy? What's going on? You okay? Because it makes no sense. There's other archiving tools. Anyway, I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, essentially the nylon stabilizers. Let me actually talk about what they do. In my last video, I had a problem where the keys bound when you press them from the inside edges. Like the enter key would bind here, the shift key would bind here. But you can fix that by just putting in these stabilizers. Basically, you take one of these and you put it in such that the two little pegs are out to the sides, and then the four sides are straight with your view. After you're done putting the actual stabilizer in, what you want to do is put a tiny little bit of lithium grease. Ignore the super lube. I was being dumb. I have lithium grease. I don't know why I didn't use it, though the super lube also just worked fine, so meh. Around the side of the plunger, and basically after putting some of that lithium grease on the side, you put the key in, and then it doesn't bind. If you do end up putting a little bit too much lithium grease bomb by accident, here's how you take it out. You just sort of take some napkin, you sort of go around the sides, and then you take a Q-tip and you put it into the stabilizer and sort of plunge it in to get that excess lube out, and there you go. And it's an actual functional key now. Beautiful. So yeah, funny enough, Joe of Model F Keyboards never actually mentioned any of that in his comments. He was just sort of fighting with me back and forth for no reason instead of improving his user experience, which is kind of fun. Fuck. Okay, later. We're pushing that until later. It keeps creeping up. We need to do this in order. We gotta do this shit in order. First, I'm going to give you a typing demo with the keyboard completely floss modded, the nylon stabilizers in, and the super lube put on the plungers. And then, yeah, I'm going to give you a recap of the whole customer experience situation, and then I'm going to explain what's happened since the last video. Watch the first 2 videos linked in the info card here. I think I'm just going to link the first video in the info card at this point. The second video has already been linked in the info card previously. The first video is the unboxing, the second video is the review, and this video is the follow-up. And I swear to God, I hope this is the end. All right, there we go. It's modded. Let's go ahead and do a typing demo. I can't place it, but it feels different than my main keyboard, but that's fine. It's its own thing. I'm just trying to basically explain why I'm not typing as, like my left hand especially feels really weird typing certain things. I don't know why. But yeah, it definitely feels a lot better. No pinging after every single click. Whenever I used this keyboard before, like even for 2 seconds just to do this, I'd immediately feel a little bit of a headache coming on, and I'd be like, okay, gotta put this thing away. But, dude, it's actually usable now, and especially with being able to use these larger keys on the inside, it is night and day. Night and day, dude. But anyways, you know, it's still just an okay board. It's just buckling springs. It's what you want. It's a Model F keyboard. If that's what you want, that's what you get. But let's get into the customer experience continuation. So now's probably a good time to let you know that the majority of this next section was recorded long before Joe updated the manual. Yes, Joe actually updated the Model F and beamspring keyboard manuals. Well, it's one manual. I complain a little bit about that in a bit that I added to this segment recently, but the point is that there are a lot of situations in this segment in which I complain about the manual being a mess, about how the manual is just awful to navigate as a new user, blah, blah, blah. And while I still think that a lot of this criticism holds true, I think that it's gotten a little bit better. At least Joe has a video on how to set up each keyboard. The sections on each keyboard are segregated a little bit more, though I would still prefer each keyboard to have its own manual page. I could have just removed the bits in which I criticized Joe for the manual from this video, but I think they're necessary in building the context for the email thread and the YouTube comments. Also, I still think that the manual is a little bit of a mess. You know, I'll try to praise Joe as often as I can for at least listening and fixing something, but at the end of the day, I think it could still be improved. It's not amazing. It still doesn't strike me as the kind of thing that a new user can just look through for a few hours before getting started on their keyboard. You know, at the end of the day, all I can do is say thank you, Joe, for adding the video and for segregating the boards in the manual a little bit more. But I will continue with the recap of everything that concerns my customer experience because I want complete transparency. And so do you, judging from one of your emails that we'll get into in a little bit. Here's a quick recap of the nonsense surrounding my purchase of the new Model F keyboard. I initially purchased the board in December, and shipping was advertised to be a flat fee. Nothing about the end consumer being responsible for import fees, duties, or taxes is, nor was, present on any product page. This information has always only been on the front page of the website below a bunch of media reviews, gloating, history, and fun facts. Shortly before the package was to arrive, UPS hit me with a pricey brokerage and duties fee of $171.41. I could have brokered the package myself, which would have dropped the total fee by half, but because of how soon before shipment fulfillment this was, I just went with UPS. The package arrived looking completely different to what I expected, and the contents of it were strewn across my front porch. I brought the package inside and found that multiple pieces of extra inner foam were bent by the heavy keyboard in the poorly assembled package. Each piece of foam was $25 USD, totaling $50 USD just for the foam, including one piece that arrived as part of the first aid/repair kit. I promptly unboxed the keyboard on camera and sent Joe a video of this, asking for the foam to be replaced, as even though the foam might still function similarly to how a new piece of foam might function, I couldn't process the fact that I had just spent $50 on 2 pieces of bent foam. I also brought up that certain parts may have been missing, but I was just wrong on that one due to stress from this situation alongside a number of other stressful things going on at the same time. In his reply, Joe essentially said he wouldn't replace the foam, and I responded by asking him to use a little more packaging for future orders. In the email, I said that he should use more tape, but in the Model F unboxing video I made, I detailed how the keyboard was solely being held in, quote-unquote, place, with 2 foam end pieces that did not fill out the height of the package. Basically, if you order this board and they're still packaging this keyboard in the same way, you can probably expect to have your board rattle around in the package and hit whatever else is inside your order. And if you buy any extra foam inserts or anything that can be bent, it could probably be bent. Another fun fact about packaging. The product page for the F77, the board I bought, advertises that your keyboard will come in this style of packaging, but this picture isn't true anymore. If you look at the front page of the Model F website these days, you'll see that a tiny blurb of text indicates that they don't package this keyboard like this anymore. In essence, the website is a fucking mess. Anyway, I made my first Model F unboxing video in which I talked about these gripes that I had with the shipping process, and I also brought up a few other issues that were encountered by other users, such as Kairos Ran 22's issue with Joe's lackluster documentation on how to program the keyboard, which has since been fixed. Good job, Joe. Good job. The fucked clock can be unfucked once a day. And anyways, other issues that I'll revisit later in this video. A day after uploading the first unboxing video, I took a break from working on something at 4 in the morning and looked at the comments. I saw that the comment count was higher than the amount of publicly viewable comments, so I checked the channel's held for review section. I saw a comment from the new Model F channel with 7+ blocks of text, so I just promptly approved the comment. Though in a tired state, I then pressed a new button I hadn't seen before, hide user from this channel. I honestly did not expect that the comment would be deleted with no undo option on top of the new Model F channel getting temporarily hidden from my channel's comments. But that's what happened. Immediately afterward, I left a pinned comment on both my videos about this whole slip up. I then received an email from Joe of Model F Keyboards in which he started out by using my full name. To this day, I don't know if this was a threat, but holy fuck was it funny. He asked why I had hidden his YouTube comment and accused me of believing that others shouldn't be allowed to express their disagreement with me. Keep this in mind for later. I responded by directing him to my pinned comment and by explaining the situation. I messed up. Sorry, I'm not trying to censor you, big guy. But yeah, in my pinned comment, I encouraged him to repost this comment, and I also posted our email thread for complete transparency in regards to how Model F Keyboards responds to criticism. Joe responded in an email by claiming that his company's emails to me are private emails for some reason, and by complaining about not seeing his reply on my video. Despite the fact that I told him that I have no option to undo the hiding of a comment. I'm sorry, I messed up. Just repost the comment. Anyway, he then pasted his initial comment into the email for me to post myself. He then lodged these same complaints publicly in response to the pinned comment on my Model F review video, the second video. I replied to Joe's email and initial comment by saying that there was a lot that he misunderstood and that I would have to address him in the future when I had more time now. I also responded to him by saying that he should put more effort into his product's consumer experience instead of spending his time saving face and fighting with random internet users. And I also said that he might consider adding negative reviews to the page on his website that houses a number of positive media and internet user reviews of his keyboards. Let's expand on that last point for a second. Joe told me that if I wanted to maintain a free and open discourse, I should keep negative comments on my page. I agree with this. I entirely agree with this, but what's going on, big guy? What about your page? What about all these reviews that are largely surface level and positive? Why not include a single negative one in there? I know you've seen a few negative reviews that go in depth. Hello? Anyway, I also added the video of me unblocking his channel to my last email as he seemed to still believe that I was purposefully censoring him. I then responded to his YouTube comment by including his and my last emails back and forth. Alright, now let's get into the meat of his initial comment, the comment that he left in his last email. Alright, so this is going to be off the cuff, I'm just going to read this here. Hello, project coordinator here. Oh, sorry. Hello, project coordinator here. It seems like you are most distressed about the brokerage fees, packaging damage, and cosmetic damage to the spare foam sheet. I will address these issues below. Okay. Did any of the above issues affect the actual keyboard itself? I'm not seeing any issues in your video besides the control key and the sleep bug, both of which are addressed below. What? He just completely went off the rails. Okay, I know exactly what happened. He read the Reddit post that I linked in the description of my video, and he read it as though it was from me, which that Reddit post wasn't me. There's more than just one person who dislikes either your product or your customer experience, Joe. I am not that person. That was just some random person on Reddit who had some issue with the control key. I don't know what that issue was. I don't know. Read this. If you're scared by it, maybe don't get this keyboard. I don't know. Personally, I didn't have this issue, but I again haven't used this keyboard extensively, so I don't know as of yet. But yeah, neither of these issues affected me. So, Joe, what the fuck? What's up with your media literacy there, bud? Regarding the foam, which is a major focus of several parts of your video, yeah, that's literally what spurred the video. The fact that your packaging was so abysmal that the keyboard popped out of the packaging somehow. And even if it weren't to have popped out of the packaging, the foam was clearly in a position where it would bend around the keyboard. Like it was just loosely in there. Like what? Unfortunately, the foam gets folded as it is bounced around in shipping, but in no way does a partly folded foam affect your ability to install the foam later on. Like, really? You're just admitting. I didn't actually read this before. He's just admitting to the fact that his packaging is that shitty. Like, really? You're expecting people to pay like $25 for a bent piece of foam? Dude, if I were buying a $25 piece of foam from your website, which I did, I would expect that the piece of foam would not be, bent and distorted and just... Like, you just threw a bunch of shit in a box and you're admitting to it. Really? Anyway, it is fully disclosed on the product page terms and conditions that buyers are responsible for all fees and import taxes, and this includes brokerage duties and other import fees. All customers outside the US may be subject to these fees whenever they import a product. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. That's not on the product page terms of service. That's just on the main page. In fact, if I go over here to the Model F keyboard website, and then if I go and select an F77 for myself, and then if I just add the product to my cart, and then if I proceed to checkout, and then if I check out the terms and conditions, and I control F for any of that, let's control F for shipping, let's control F for duties, let's control F for taxes, let's control F for responsible. No, Joe, it would seem as though this is not anywhere in your terms and conditions. I fucking remember reading the terms and conditions. I read this kind of shit. I read this shit and your website is a fucking mess. Yeah, the first page, the front page of the website is the only page that has anything about this. I did not agree to that. So, fuck you. In fact, I'll even go a step further. Let's put this into ChatGPT and let's ask for it to pull out any sentences with the words shipping or anything like that. No, there's nothing about it. There's nothing about it. There's a bunch of stuff about being responsible for damages due to advertising. I don't know, just a bunch of like weird stuff like that. Nothing about being responsible for shipping duties and taxes. Joe, can you fucking add that to your terms and service? Like, this isn't a joke anymore. Can you fucking add that there? Because that's actually really fucking annoying. Or even just like add it in bold text or like put a little like star below the amount of money that's spent on shipping, like $0 or whatever it ends up being. Because that's not right. That's actually not right. Regarding a sleep bug, I'm not aware of any Model F firmware improvement that fixes a sleep bug as you indicate in your description. So that may be an issue of your computer settings or operating system updates. How did you resolve it? I don't know. I didn't have this fucking bug. Joe! I am curious. Your video says you were unable to resolve it. I never said that in the video at all. Dude, did you just transcribe my video using like Whisper AI or something like that? Like, really? Did you not fucking comprehend anything, you fucking daft I want to call you so many things right now. Which is different from your description comment. At launch, the keyboard also had a bug that caused it to stop working after a PC came out of sleep mode, which was frustrating to deal with. Although this issue has been resolved now, it was a significant inconvenience at the time. Yeah, because I never fucking had the issue. Did you watch the video, Joe? I never said that I had a sleep bug. All I said was that someone on fucking Reddit had the sleep bug. Really? I'm so dumbfounded that this guy is this fucking stupid, dude. I don't know. It's Oh, fuck. I can't fucking deal with this. I just can't fucking deal with this guy. Holy shit, dude. No, that random guy on Reddit had the sleep bug. It wasn't me, Joe. I need to say this straight face now. If you're watching the video, it wasn't me. It was some random fuck on Reddit that you actually responded to a long time ago. So I don't know why you're coming up to me and saying that post is from me, but I don't know, fucking weird, dude. Anyway, this Reddit post isn't the only source documenting this sleep bug, by the way. Look at this video.
So the only complaint that I have of any substance really about this keyboard is that sometimes I turn on the computer, the keyboard doesn't work, and I actually have to unplug the keyboard by USB and then plug it back in, and that usually fixes it. If that doesn't fix it, typically I have to restart the computer and maybe plug or unplug and then plug back in the keyboard. Some combination of that will fix it, and really that only happens maybe once every 2 or 3 months of pretty continuous use. So I don't know what it is. It might have something to do with Windows 10 updating, but just so you're aware of that problem is out there. I don't know how typical or how common it is, but it can be a little frustrating.
This video was posted long before my review. Like, what? Does criticism of your keyboard just go in one ear and out the other? I'm exasperated at the fact that this guy cannot watch a single fucking video. But yeah, as for the sleep bug, where basically the keyboard would stop functioning once the computer went to sleep and then came out of sleep mode. I saw that issue floating around a number of times online, but I think it's fixed by now. My keyboard doesn't have that issue, so I don't know. I haven't heard about that issue as of late. But I don't know, it just speaks to how out of the loop Joe is about his own fucking product. You mentioned your control key stopped working and that you mentioned reseating the key many times. This is specifically mentioned in the manual as an improper way to fix this issue. Yeah, I know. I didn't do it. Some fuck on Reddit did it. The correct way is to follow the instructions in the manual on the project website, which involves adjusting and replacing the spring. I strongly recommend to everyone to read the manual fully before starting the process, even if it takes a while. It saves a lot of frustration. Yeah, well, you live and you learn, Joe. If only you could watch my fucking video, then it would save you a lot of frustration and keystrokes. Anyway, I did read the manual front to back. I think the only real thing that I was confused about was the nylon stabilizers. Well, never mind. There was also the Floss Mod that I didn't know was a direct fix for the pinging issue. I didn't really understand what was trying to be fixed with the Floss Mod, because it was all in text. But anyways, aside from those two things, which people in the comments tipped me off to, I didn't really have any issues with my usage of the Model F that the manual didn't help. You note that your keyboard took an hour to set up. This is normal for a newcomer to the world of Model F keyboards. Eventually, as you gain experience, you can get that down to 10 to 15 minutes as shown in the keycap installation video posted in the manual. That's really funny. I don't know. The fact that there's a world of Model F keyboards, I'm not going to comment on that further. You are complaining about customer service. I've been quite responsive over email, so I'm not sure why you are noting this. I think I've given enough reasons in this video to maybe give you a clue as to why I'm noting this. I don't want to reiterate all the reasons, Joe, but you can watch this video again. Maybe it'll help with your media literacy. I've emailed you a number of times, and you have not replied to my most recent email in December from what I can see. Yeah, it's my bad, sorry. I completely missed that. I noted that in my first video, and I gave you more information on shipping and on brokerage fees and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's all the information I have. I'm not really a useful resource in that regard, Joe. I'm sorry. Just as you're not a useful resource in helping people navigate your fucking shit website. Because I am only one person coordinating this project, I have to direct folks to the manual, which contains everything needed to set up and troubleshoot the Model F keyboard. That's nice, Joe. But what about your lack of transparency when it comes to packaging? What about your lack of transparency when it comes to brokerage fees and duties? Hello? Joe? You there? I cannot offer one-on-one technical support to everyone as it would not be feasible. Nobody's asking you to do that. I'm just asking you to fucking fix your website, Joe. Like, dude, really, I mentioned this in my last video, but why is the beamspring keyboard manual combined with the Model F keyboard manual? I noticed that as of recently, you've separated them a little bit more, but they're still on the same web page, and the information still kind of goes back and forth. I just don't understand why you haven't split these up into 2 different pages. You have a million different pages for everything else. Why are you so dead set on this manual being one page? Is it because you're that fucking fucking lazy that you don't even want to comprehend someone's message and you just want to link them to an all-encompassing manual? I don't know, man. The boilerplate wouldn't suffer that much from having to say, go here for the beamspring keyboard, go here for the Model F manual. Like, I don't know, man. It's just weird. In summary, it is my understanding, like, dude, he's actually just comprehending this like a shitty, like, chatbot. There is no fucking way that he didn't just feed this into, like, ChatGPT or something, and it has to be, like, GPT-3. Unless his brain is just cooked, there's no way that he didn't, like, transcribe this using Whisper AI, and then just feed this along with the description of the video into ChatGPT, and then just, like, get a shitty response and send it off to me. I don't know. This is something else. I've never received an email from a company that's this bad. I've received emails from companies like that comprehend more of what I've said. In summary, it is my understanding that you have received a functionally undamaged product with a mishandled box and spare foam that has been folded up and has creases on the foam. In your emails to me, you seem to be most upset about the fees, which are charged by your postal service and UPS are therefore out of my control. Yeah, but can you at least tell consumers that on your product pages instead of just putting it on the front page of your website? Who the fuck is looking below media reviews? Who the fuck is looking below the fun facts to see that, oh, I'm going to get a $177 bill? No, nobody's doing that. Please do not attribute to the keyboard itself any cosmetic packaging and spare foam damage and your country and the courier's fees, which can't be helped with rough shipping of heavy/solid 10+ pound packages these days. Yeah, but dude, look at the way in which Kairos Ran received the package. Look at this. There's no way in which the keyboard gets banged around like this. You can't possibly say, oh no, I didn't do that. Oh, nothing. Nope, not out of my control. When you clearly degraded the quality of your packaging and threw a little blurb about that on the front page of your website, not indicating that absolutely anywhere else. This is incredibly anti-consumer. I don't know what you're trying to do here. Are you doing this on purpose or are you just this incapable? I would like to believe that you're capable because you made a very nice keyboard. But the issue is it seems like you don't care about anyone else experiencing this product in a positive way. It seems like you just made this keyboard for yourself, you were happy with it, and then you're like, I can make some money off of this. And then you just didn't give a shit about the part of the buying experience that occurs once the money is taken and the customer is given the product. I don't know, man. The fixes are obvious. If you want a summary, here you go. Put a little star below the shipping price and say that you're not going to be responsible for duties, taxes, or brokerage fees. Maybe even include a little link from the word brokerage fees that brings you to UPS's website detailing how brokerage fees work and stuff like that. On your product page, stop listing that fucking image of the F-77 wrapped in that clamshell case. That's not accurate. That's misleading customers. If you are going to keep that image, include a blurb in the image or somewhere near where the image is displayed on the product page saying that the F-77 and other boards don't get packaged in that way anymore. Include at least one fucking negative review on your list of reviews of your keyboards. I don't know. It's not that hard. At the end of the day, it's up to you to fix these issues. You could just keep bickering with people back and forth. You could do that. You very well could. And I encourage you to. I think it's very productive. Keep doing that. Being sarcastic, obviously. You're fucking cooked. All right, now after this little pouty display, let's bring some smile to our faces. Let's react to the official new Model F keyboard trailer on the new Model F channel. All right, so now that I've gone over the mod, now that I've gone over the thing to make your Model F better that encompasses a mod in some way, now that I've gone over the typing demo, now that I've gone over the updates on the buyer experience, let's have a little look-see at the first Model F video. I just have a sneaking suspicion that it'll be a really funny video. I've watched a tiny little bit of it before, I'll be honest. I'll be completely honest. I've watched a tiny bit of it. I've watched like 50 seconds of it. But I feel like it gets better. I feel like it gets much better. So here we go.
This is the sound of the busy 1980s office. It's the clicky sound of the Model F keyboard, the result of a decade of IBM research to develop what is still the world's greatest keyboard.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know. I like the sound of beamsprings better. It's all subjective. None of this means anything. It's like saying the best burger in Texas or something like that. It doesn't mean anything. It's subjective. Fair enough.
Built up to a standard, and not down to a price point.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know much about keyboard history, but of the little that I do know, I'm pretty sure that I know that beamspring keyboards to buckling springs was a step down, and it was literally to meet a price point. So, I don't know. This is just retard corporate speak in my mind, but all right.
The problem?
Ooh, yeah, that is the problem. If only my Model F came in one of those. Besides the point.
These went out of production in the 1980s. As a big fan of the Model F keyboard from an early age, I wanted everyone to once more be able to get an industrial quality, exact reproduction of the 80s Model F design, but with modern electronics that work on today's computers.
And good for you, Joe. Good for fucking you. I'm glad that you're putting this product out there. Good. Now, can you fucking make the manual usable? Can you make the new user experience not hellish? Yeah, thanks.
Thanks to the efforts of engineers and Model F fans around the world, you can now own a brand new Model F keyboard. Here's what makes the Model F the best keyboard ever. First is the typing experience. You're already on a keyboard for hours and hours a week. Why not make typing fun and enjoyable? Every key press brings you both tactile and auditory feedback. You can feel the Model F spring buckle inside the pressed key and hear the satisfying click of the flipper against the capacitive circuit board underneath the keys. Many people report significant improvement in typing speed and accuracy after switching to the Model F.
What? What do you mean? As opposed to what? Like, were they typing on rubber domes previously? What are you fucking on? What are you talking about? Okay, no, that's enough. We don't need to watch any more of this video here. I'm going to do a direct comparison. All right, so let's do a typing test to make sure that Joe's claim is really true. There's going to be a few flaws with this test. The first flaw is going to be the fact that my favorite keyboard is going to be used last, which means that I'm going to be the most tired while using it. But I still think that on average, I will be of equal speed with every single one of these keyboards, about equal speed. You know, there's going to probably be like a difference of maybe 2-3 words per minute. It might be more with the linear keyboard, but we'll see. So anyways, what keyboards are we going to be testing? We're going to be testing first the Keychron Q1 V2 with linear switches. If you're curious about specifics, I'm using Telio switches and Kale Speed Silver switches, a combination. It's sort of like a Frankenboard because I play rhythm games with certain keys and I prefer the Speed Silver switches for those keys. And I'm just using Cherry PBT keycaps. After a little break between the first keyboard and the second keyboard, yes, there's going to be breaks between every single keyboard test. We're going to test out a rubber dome keyboard. Funny enough, this is actually the first keyboard that I ever owned. It's from 2005 or so. It's from Dell. It's just a rubber dome keyboard. The third keyboard we're going to test is the new Model F. And then the fourth keyboard that we're going to test is a Monstar Gear V3 something or other. I really don't know. It was a group buy something or other. And it has Holy Panda drop V1 switches inside of it with SA Chalk PBT keycaps. I'm expecting that each one of these keyboards will be pretty much on par with each other on average. Individual typing tests are not really a determiner of speed. As you know, I could mess up or do better from test to test, but I think that testing each keyboard 5 times will give us a good average. So that's what we're going to do. I'll talk about the results after the fact. I'll talk about average speed. I'll talk about comfort and all that. But for now, I'm just going to show you the fastest result from each keyboard. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Wow, look at them go. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, they're really typing up in here. Yo, those keys are getting clicked. Okay, I'm going to stop announcing. That was not good. I have to do a typing test now. Fuck. So here we are. It seems as though every single keyboard gave me about the same average typing speed, around 120 words per minute. That's crazy. It's crazy that the Model F didn't just make me a million times faster, huh? Now, yes, I did get the fastest speed out of all of them with the Model F, but look at how inconsistent it is in comparison to the rest of them. On one of the typing tests, I typed at 105 words per minute. On one of them, I typed at 127 words per minute. And in fact, I did another typing test after the 105 words per minute test, just to double check to make sure, maybe I can get a better score out of this and write that one down instead and, cheat a little bit. But no, I got 105 words per minute on the 6th test for the Model F as well. It is what it is. It's a keyboard. It works. On average, I can type just as fast on my rubber dome keyboard. The keyboard has absolutely nothing to do with your typing speed. Some of the top type racer users use fucking laptop keyboards. This corporate comment of, oh, some people have reported that the Model F made them type faster. It's bullshit. Fuck you for even daring to include that. Holy shit. I don't know, half of this video is just corporate nonsense, but I don't know, that one infuriated me. It's like telling people that in order to get good at something, you first gotta buy the $5,000 tool. That's a fucking lie. And I don't know, that shit just infuriates me. Anyway, I want to briefly talk about the results here, and then I'll bring you back to the past, where myself from a few weeks ago was talking about how it felt to type on each keyboard. Quick overview, the Model F just felt inconsistent, but it felt nice to type on. The tactile board was the best. The rubber dome keyboard was fucking awful. It felt so hard to press down all the keys. I mean, you could rewind and see how hard it was for me to press keys in that typing test. I was literally slamming on the keyboard in order to get things through. But still, more consistent than the new Model F. Crazy, huh? Obviously, the linear keyboard felt awful to type on because it's a linear keyboard, don't have as much feedback. And yeah, the tactile keyboard with the Holy Pandas felt the best. Wow, what a shocker. Anyway, one last thing, it's actually kind of funny because I think I was dead tired by the time the last keyboard came around. I think I had peak stamina around when I was typing with the new Model F. And I typed that prompt so many times by the time the Model F came around that I think those are the best circumstances that I could have given the Model F, because by the time the tactile keyboard came out, I was dead tired and I was making a lot of mistakes. But anyway, listen to me of the past tell you what it was like. So the fastest time that I achieved was with the new Model F, but even here, after just doing the test, I can immediately tell that I was a lot more consistent with this keyboard. Even when I was like going fast and then screwing up entirely, I did that a number of times. I still managed a more consistent speed overall than I did with the new Model F. With the new Model F, there were times where I think it was because of like it requires more pressure when I press down with the new Model F in comparison to this keyboard with Holy Panda from Drop, the V1 batch. The new Model F just requires a little more force, which I think means that I need to be a lot more intentional with everything. And with this keyboard, I can more so just go with like feeling rather than needing to be a little, I don't know, I'm creating pseudoscience right now. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like it felt a little harder to press down keys with the new Model F. So this keyboard just felt like it flowed better. And that can sort of be seen by the testing in that I'm a lot more consistent with this keyboard. All the tests are around like 120 words per minute. The new Model F, it varies so drastically. Like at one point I'm really on my game, but then at another point I mess something up, and then the spacebar doesn't work, the E key doesn't work, and then even when there weren't malfunctions with the new Model F itself, like there weren't mechanical malfunctions, it still didn't feel like I didn't feel like I flowed as well typing on that as compared to this keyboard. But to keep things in perspective, we're talking about the difference between like 10 words per minute on average, like within a massive essay. Like it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what keyboard you decide to type on, so long as you feel comfortable with it. If you like typing on the new Model F, then type on the new Model F. If you like typing on this keyboard, this kind of thing, then yeah, type on a mechanical keyboard. That's it. It's an emotional decision. It has nothing to do with, oh, this keyboard's gonna make you type faster than the other one. No. So here's my ultimate verdict on everything, right? I like this keyboard the most for typing. It's the only keyboard that I've purposely built for typing specifically. Every other keyboard has some other application in mind. I have a split keyboard with box jades that I really like for typing, but I only really used it for typing essays in university because I don't really use a split keyboard at my normal desk. Every other keyboard I have is just sort of a product of me messing around with switches, aside from the other board that I tried there, the Keychron Q1 V2, which I use for just day-to-day stuff. And I use it for day-to-day stuff because at a moment's notice, if I want to play a rhythm game, I can just switch to those keys because there's a few keys that have Kale Speed Silvers on them that I use for rhythm games. So yeah, that's the point. My day-to-day keyboard does everything I need it to do. But if I'm like exclusively typing something for a very long period of time, I will pull out this keyboard. When it comes to the new Model F, where does it factor? My only thing with it is that I just wouldn't use it for day to day because I think that it would still give me a headache, even though I've dampened the pinginess. So yeah, I still prefer this keyboard for typing day to day. It is what it is. Anyway, enough of this tangent. In essence, the new Model F is not going to make you a faster typist. Before the video ends, I'd like to give a quick thanks to Joe for updating the manual since my second video. I don't know if that was a direct result of the second video. I have no idea. I don't really care. The point is that at the end of the day, I think he realized that, you know, if new users are struggling en masse, that means that his manual wasn't concise and well written. And, you know, I think he realized that or something along those lines and went and updated the manual, added an in-depth setup video, and I'm grateful for that. That was the whole point of this. I just wanted the project to improve. I think that it's getting better with time, and I appreciate his efforts. I just think that he should fix the things that I mentioned in my summary because they're bordering on anti-consumer practices, if they're not already anti-consumer practices. To the people who went and watched these videos who already have Model F keyboards, you people are weird. I don't understand why you would go and watch reviews on a product that you already own. Are you trying to affirm your purchasing decisions or something? To the people who are considering buying a new Model F, I hope that this video hasn't completely deterred you from buying one. It is a good keyboard. I just think you should be aware of the things that I mentioned in this video series. You know, and if you've determined after watching this video series that, okay, there are those downsides, but my emotions supersede those downsides, I really want this keyboard, then fair enough, go ahead, get it. I can't stop you. If you really want it, fuck it, go for it. I just want you to be aware of these things. I don't want you to go out and buy the keyboard and get ass mad at a million different things like I did. I want you to go out buying something and expecting what comes your way. You know, I'm tired of this little guessing game that sellers have these days, where they'll just sell you a product and then, oops, it looks like it's not what you were expecting. Like the new Model F, the pictures of it show a fully assembled keyboard in a clamshell case. And that's not what you get. That's not what you get at all. And the disclaimers for that are like buried. Anyway, I didn't even mention that part of it because I figure that that's such a minor thing. Who cares? Just put the keycaps in. But the point is that minor things like that can sour your experience of a $1,000 keyboard. Anyway, if you are going to buy a new Model F keyboard, I hope that I enlightened you about some of the shortcomings of the buyer experience, and I hope that you now have a good understanding of how the Floss Mod works and of what it's for. That's all. Again, thanks, Joe, for updating things, making things better instead of just continuing the argument. If I see you bitching in the comment section, I'm just going to send you to this timestamp because honestly, like, fuck, dude, I thought you learned something. Thanks for improving the product instead of continuing the argument. See ya. And thank you to everyone for watching. Have a great one.